come join me. Come join me. I'm getting things kind of set up here for this session. And I want us to get cozy. So get yourself something nice to drink. I have, let's see, what do I have? I'm going to light incense. I have honey lavender stress relief in my little, bringing it, stuff that's just going to come in off the side, in my little chicken mug. It's so cute. So grab yourself something. Oh, tart. All right, we're also going to light an incense. So we've got, I like to get it set up as we go, get set up together. So it gives you a chance to settle in, call in your guides. I've already wrapped us all in love light and light love and invited in the guides who overlight TLC for the soul, Archangel Michael, Archangel Metatron, Pleiadians, and whatever TLC for the soul guides would like to come in and play with us today. We're going to be doing things on the fly here. So we're going to be lighting earth element incense. So this was, they don't even make these anymore. This was a set of Japanese incense sticks. I have all the elements, earth, air, fire, water, and spirit. But I like the bark. The earth element's been very prominent today. And this trees came up in the beginning of this video, but they were trees at the park that they had cut down. At first I was like, are these trees really dead? Why are you cutting down these trees? Because I was looking at some of the barks and I'm like, I don't think they're really dead. And some of them were and some of them did not seem so. So I never know. I'm like, why are you targeting these trees? My tree rant. So let's write, this earth incense says bountiful hints of vetiver, cypress, and patchouli stirred by ancient rainforests in El Mirador, Guatemala, deeply grounding. So let's like that. And then today we're going to do this prosperity healing today, we are going to be using something called the graveyard spread. All right now. Graveyard, because someone had said it, you know, for those of us who are like, oh, Halloween and Samhain's over, it really isn't over, because Samhain season is the 6 weeks from October 31st all the way to the winter solstice. So I use that as my excuse to keep out some of my Howin stuff. At least until like the week after Thanksgiving, and then I start kind of putting my Christmas stuff up. All right, so this is part of our prosperity healing series, and I've made a playlist for that on YouTube and on Spotify, and in there already is the financial self-mastery workshop, and so we're going to be working on those same themes, which is positive karma and how prosperity can affect other areas of your life, or how poverty consciousness or limiting thoughts and beliefs around prosperity can affect other areas of your life, including your relationships. And this graveyard spread is, I thought it was just kind of cool with this Halloween Samhain thing. So let's just see what questions we're going to be answering for you here today. And we're going to do the healing alongside that, because it doesn't make sense to just bring up the topics and not have the healing happen at the same time. Okay, so the questions we're going to be answering today are why am I uncertain of the way forward? How am I making things harder than necessary? What am I trying to prove? What do I need to put behind me? What's my first step? And how can I stay focused on my chosen path? So let's see if Spirit where Spirit takes us with that. So the prosperity healing, let me just see where they want me to get started. Why am I uncertain of the way forward? So what's the real issue at hand here? So whenever we do prosperity healing or emotional healing, one of the first things we do is we have to get rid of the stuff that's no longer serving you. We can't just jump in and start adding energy, adding prosperity energy, which is what we're going to be doing today. We're going to be asking the angels of prosperity and your guides to come in and bless you with information and things that you need, but also bless you with the healing that you need in order to move forward. But we can't do that without getting rid of the stuff that's holding you back first. So the question is, what I'm walking around. Why am I uncertain of the way forward? Why am I uncertain of the way forward? So this question comes up and it's like, are we uncertain of the way forward, or is it just that we don't know how to move forward? I did, in preparation for this reading today, I noticed that I had a lot of choices to make. Like, there was abundance all around me and the prosperity of, stuff and things all around me. And then I was like, oh, I can't choose. And so I was like, oh, there's too many things to choose from. And I think there's some little bit of niggling something. So I'm talking about for all of us, myself included, and you guys that are watching this, there's some niggling thing in there that's keeping us from moving forward around maybe making the wrong sort of choices or choosing incorrectly. So I've still got the Trick or Treat Tarot out. So let's go ahead and let's just shuffle and see if that comes up in the cards at all. What is it? What is it that's keeping us from being more prosperous, I guess? And they're both in reverse. Let me just make sure. Is the whole deck in reverse? No. Okay, so these two are in reverse. This is the Eight of Cups and the Nine of Swords. Okay, so let's just put these out because I do like some of these books because they have different things. So it's an 8 and a 9. And let me see here. The Eight of Cups in this deck some people seek the perfect Christmas tree, the most impressive Independence Day fireworks, or an extravagant birthday cake. Others are driven to discover the best pumpkin in the patch, and nothing else will do. While we may not have much confidence in our superhero's villain-fighting abilities, he has proven his pumpkin-seeking skills. But reversed, it says, you might even agree with them, which makes this itchy feeling in your gut so confusing. The thing is that even though things are very comfortable, they just aren't satisfying anymore. You probably can't explain the feeling to others because you don't completely understand it yourself. All you know is that you must go in search of something that is missing, and you won't feel at ease until you do. This isn't a guarantee you will find it, but you have to try. But in the reverse, this says it's settling, accepting second best, running away, or making excuses. What is keeping us from being more prosperous? Settling, accepting second best. This is so interesting. Okay, and then it came out with the Nine of Swords. And I'm just looking at the book. You want me to read the book? One of the downsides of dressing up, so this is supposed to be Sleeping Beauty, is that if you close your eyes, you don't know who might sneak up to try and kiss you awake. When this card comes up, you are having trouble sleeping or are otherwise fretting over something, or perhaps nothing in particular, but just everything in general. If they were, something about thoughts. In the language of tarot, swords can represent thoughts. In this card, these thoughts are usually about things you can't do anything about. If they were, then you would just write them down to handle in the morning and get back to sleep. No, these thoughts are just self-inflicted torture. It's a frustrating card indicating a frustrating situation, and any advice offered will sound patronizing. Whoever comes up with a real cure for this experience will become a millionaire. And in the reversal, it's called insomnia and overuse of sleeping aids. Interesting. Insomnia and settling for second best, or accepting second best, or settling. What's keeping us from being more prosperous? Huh. All right, let's keep going. I'm not sure I really accepting second best. So I'm going to say, I'm trying to figure out like the areas of life. Obviously it's going to be different for each one, but it definitely seems like maybe some relationship stuff going on over here, because the card did talk about who comes to kiss you. Yeah, Beauty probably wasn't prepared to see such an ugly mug instead of her charming prince. The shock may stick with her a while and maybe keep her up at night. It's definitely something with relationships and something with settling. Settling for second best. All right. What's keeping us from being... And that's right, because what I had wanted to talk about today at the beginning of the month, I wrote it down, and it was prosperity and relationship healing. And when I asked what we would be talking about, I used the Psychic Tarot of the Heart, and I was like, what do we most need to know, Spirit, about relationships and prosperity? And this flow card came up, which is the Wheel of Fortune, card number 10. And look, so we have 8, 9, and 10. Those were reversed. This came out when it came out. Whenever I drew it, I just had it sitting there waiting to do this reading, was in the upright position. And that is the energies around you at this time are positive and are driving you forward, even though we've got several retrogrades happening when this is being recorded. I think Mercury retrograde, and there's one, I think is it Saturn? Let yourself flow with these energies and put them to good use. This is an opportune time to attract your heart's desire. Do you want more love, peace, or greater understanding? Is your heart calling out for a new relationship? Does a current relationship need improvement? Focus on your desires and allow them to manifest by expecting them to. Okay, but then let's see. Let's keep going with our questions in our deck, in our spread, in our graveyard spread, to suss out what's going on here. And at the same time, as these things come up, I'm inviting in the angels of healing. We have fairies of prosperity and healing and abundance to come in and help us remove some of these lower energies, like I'm doing a little bit of fairy Reiki and angelic Reiki on you as we are, as we're going through this reading, so we can pull these things out and disintegrate them. So this is a reading where it's your part in the healing process is a little bit passive, just allowing these thoughts and feelings and emotions to come up. And that's really all we have to do when we do the healing, is allow them to come up and then either ourselves disintegrate them or work with a teacher or some guides to help disintegrate those thought forms, because that's really all they are. Everything is energy. These are just thought forms, be it a thought form you created this morning or a thought form you created, 10 lifetimes ago. They just live in the chakras, and depending on what's going on, around you or whatever, you react to something, and these thoughts and these old thought forms and things get activated within you, and they come to the surface even if they're deep within the chakras. And those are the best times that we can do the healing, because once they come out of the chakra and they're kind of more in your auric field and not buried deep, then we can just easily disintegrate them and then ask the angels and guides to come in and bring us, more of that prosperity energy that we need, because it sounds like now is a fortuitous time to be making and setting intentions, not settling for second best, and for things to move forward. How am I making things harder than necessary is the next question in the graveyard spread. I guess we could set them up by like tombstones. How am I making things harder than necessary. So I'm going to use my deck, the Forest of the Wolf. How am I making things harder? So how are you making things harder than necessary in this process? Are you doing something? Secret admirer? What is that? How am I making things harder than necessary? Secret admirer. But look, it's just a wolf all by themselves. How am I, that like needs to be clarified. So like the bottom of the deck. All right, I'm just going to the bottom of the deck. Oh, you know it. You knew this had to come out somewhere. And look, the rings of the tree. When I made this card, the rings of the tree, the timing, and the tree, I love how they bring up these synchronicities. The tree was very important, or it came up in our show. So, but what with the secret admirer? How is divine timing and secret admirer going together? I don't know about this. When I made this secret admirer card, it was all about, you know, someone's kind of got their eye on you from afar. And maybe you don't know it yet. And you know, here's something too. Here's what I will say about this. Here's what I've learned over the past like 6 months or so. I'm gonna set these down now. What I've learned, and it does help for anything that you're manifesting. If you can, it takes, I don't know, it's pretty, it seems in theory easy to do, but I don't know why it's very hard for people to do. But I just was like, there are some points over the past, this past year where I've just had to like surrender everything to God, to source, everything, like my whole entire being. I'm like, I surrender my whole being to you. Every morning, typically I get up now and I'm like, beloved source, Mother, Father, God, I surrender myself to you. Please take care of everything. And I say it like 7 times because I'm like, they're giving me so many chills because obviously there's some divine plan and there's some divine timing going on in your life. And one of the cards did talk about these things are things outside of your control. So whatever these things are, the insomnia card, were things that are outside of your control. And maybe it does have to do with relationships. Because if it was something this is what I keep saying. If it's something you could control, like, just, fix your workout routine or whatever, then you could fix it, right? That's within your control. Fix your diet, fix your workout routine, go to the doctor, whatever it is. But the things, so I'm piecing this together then as we go along, like going down the bunny trail, falling into the fairy portal, and I'm walking along in the fairy portal, which is a theme for this month, like falling down the rabbit hole. I just lost my train of thought. But piecing these things together, what am I piecing together? Oh yeah, the things you can't control. So apparently the things that we can't control are keeping us up at night. We're spending too much time thinking about them, and it's affecting our prosperity. I don't think we've gotten to the how part. And the thing with it is, if you can't control it, there's nothing you can do about it, then you might as well, it's to your benefit to just surrender it to source. And what has worked for me in these situations, and it does take a lot to be able to do this, is I finally had to say, you know what, I'm an older person, I don't know how much longer I have in this lifetime. Maybe I've got 20, 30, 40 years. Who knows, right? But I finally had to say, I surrender the timing to you. And if it's not meant for me in this lifetime, then I have to be okay with that. And I have to, in terms of manifesting whatever this is, I have to realize that the soul is everlasting. And even if I want, XYZ, and it's a thing that's outside of my control, that eventually, somewhere, sometime, hopefully, I always say, hopefully it's this lifetime, but if it's not, then it will happen even in the next lifetime, because the things that I want, the things that I'm manifesting, a lot of those deeply held desires go on with the soul, because the longing for them is so strong that even when the soul leaves the body and goes to the astral world, those longings and other thing. Longings and regrets typically will stay with the soul. They'll be deep within the chakras, these things that you really, really, really want. Somewhere in the heart chakra, they're sitting in there. So they will go with the soul. So you have to get to this point of like deep surrender where it's like, well, I guess at some point in my soul's journey, which is, could be this lifetime, might not be, I will get exactly everything that I want. If I still want it bad enough in the next lifetime, I'll have it. If my karma and divine timing and my destiny that I've created for myself are right in this lifetime, if the timing is right in this lifetime and all the cooperative components, like Abraham Hicks says, come together, then what is meant for me will come to me. And that right there will stop a lot of the blocks that you have. Is you have to have the courage, it takes a lot of courage, to be able to surrender. I swear I do it every morning, to surrender to source. It doesn't mean you just like give your power away, like I'll just lay around and just, whatever comes to me, comes to me. It's not that. It's like guide me, direct me. Every morning I'm like, I'm calling extra support today to my, guides, my guardian angel and all that. God, I call in extra support today to help me manage my priorities and to help me with the things that I most need in this now, even if I'm not consciously aware of what those things are. And then I flow with whatever comes up that day. Now, if there's something that needs to be done, obviously, like your to-do list and all that, you keep doing all that. We don't throw that reality, we don't throw that out the window like, oh, if it's meant for me, it'll just fall out of the sky. No, you're going to have to still like go about your 3D life but allow yourself to be led by the magic and the mysticism and the the fun and the fact that you are in the 5D and you are self-aware and all of this amazing goodness that I have compassion now for people that aren't awake, right? I'm like, oh, I go to work, I go to work with my guides and, all the things you guys tell me too, like I'm taking a dragon with me today or whatever, our soul family here, I'm doing my wolf shifter work today. I've got a dragon egg in my pocket. I've got a crystal under my, in my necklace or whatever. Nobody really knows that this crystal really has a spirit guide inside of it. Those are the kind of things that make my day kind of fun. And believe me, I get amused by the littlest, smallest things. It's like, oh, you don't know. I wish you knew. I wish you could have the fun. I look at, the people around me that aren't awake and aware, and I'm like, I wish you could have the fun and know that, inside this little crystal, there's like a raven spirit guide who's sitting on my shoulder right now. So just having that fun and just flowing with the day. Okay, so secret admirer, divine timing, I guess it's all going to happen when it's going to happen. And there's nothing in terms of timing, there's nothing you can do really to change that. So I don't know, what am I trying to prove? I'm going to skip that one. I'm going to focus on what factors, let me just see. What factors do I need to put behind me was the next one. And I think we've already kind of answered some of those. You have to be able to surrender whatever your situation is to source. You have to, I think, trust. That's another one. I don't even need to pull a card for that. Trust is trusting the process. That's a big one that comes up, right? You hear it all over the place. Just trust the process. Trust in your guides. Trust in God. And maybe, I know I still do. That's one big thing I'm working on is trust issues with my guides. Kind of like, well, I don't know that you're not going to turn around and, not that your guides or God is going to intentionally like do anything to you, but the hidden factor that you're not always aware of, I'm going to go on my karma spiel, is you don't really ever truly know exactly what's going on in your karma banks. You don't know because you carry the karma of all your past lifetimes, and you come into this lifetime with, you're trying to work off maybe some negative karma or even negative karma you created earlier on in this lifetime, and you just don't know, like, when is that karma going to be paid back? And I think you can tell if you've got negative karma to pay off, because if you're in situations you don't want to be in for whatever reason, typically you're there to learn lessons, and you're learning lessons usually by, most of the time, you're paying off negative karma of something that happened. What is the something that happened? Well, typically it's, if what you put out there comes back to you, then look at whatever the situation is and think about, I don't know what it could be, but typically it's something along the same lines. If it's a bad relationship, then, oh God, maybe you're healing something about a bad relationship. Or if it's money problems, maybe you did something in the past to hurt somebody and cause them to lose money, or cause them, any number of things. So we never know our karma bank balance. And so we have to constantly be having the intention that we always want to create positive karma. And one of the fastest ways, I don't know how and why it works this way. I want to come to a better understanding of why the giving of the money makes so big of a difference. Giving of time, they say, is as important. Like, what if I volunteer my time? But for whatever reason, the giving of the 10%, which, and I know it's called tithing in the Bible, but a lot of people don't like to think about that. But giving 10% of your income away somehow, and I've been experimenting with it and it is working, somehow makes a huge, huge difference in creating positive karma for yourself. Do we answer, why does that make such a huge difference? Since we're standing here, what's a deck that I want to use? They're like, just stay with this Forest of the Wolf deck. All right, why is that such a big deal? I may have to go to a fairy card. Time to receive. Take a deep breath and allow the Reiki energy to envelop you. Lone wolf healing for anxiety. Time to receive. So, okay, let's take a deep breath. So guides are coming in right now to help us, because maybe this conversation is bringing up anxiety in people. Like, why am I feeling anxious about this? I don't know. So the guides want to come in and clear out some anxiety right now. So let's just give them a minute to maybe clear some of the things that are coming up as we're having this conversation. And then we'll move on to the why question and the next steps question. All right, so let's take 5 deep breaths. Another one. Okay, because we've already been here 30 minutes, and like I said, when you fall down the rabbit hole, the time just goes so fast. So let's go to open ground. What's my first step? How is this? I still don't understand how the prosperity is being blocked. How is prosperity being blocked by some of these things? How is the prosperity being blocked? And then we'll say, how can I move on? How is the prosperity being blocked? 9 of Cups. Maybe it is all back to the not settling. How is the prosperity being blocked? Look, there's that same guy. How is the prosperity being blocked? The 9 of Cups, they always say, is the wish fulfillment card, and allowing yourself to receive. How is my prosperity being blocked? I don't know. Maybe I want to get one more card. So what is the first step then towards being more prosperous, even though there's these relationship things, because maybe these two cards go together. What's the first step? I'm going to bring out the fairies. How do we move forward then? What's our step? Oh, the journeyman. I knew it. It's almost like the Fool card. Card number 15. What is the first step? I would say, without even looking at the book, this is probably like beginner's mind. Adventure, independence, polishing of skills, travel. All of the great ones, the saints, bodhisattvas, and all of those who are filled by spiritual light have been on this journey. They went into the wilderness stepping, what's the first step? Like fools, off of safe paths, into the waiting hands of their gods and goddesses. This is the journey of life. A pilgrimage that begins in ignorant trust, passes through all of the doubts, fears, ups and downs, probably all of the delusions, and certainly all of the confusions. Through it, we learn slowly, painfully, a new kind of trust. Here it is again, a trust in the process, detached from the goal. How do we get started? Adventure, independence, travel, a long path ahead. This card speaks to the need to perfect skills in working and living, but acknowledges having a sound grounding on the basics. Optimistic, innocent, and willing to learn. His name is Onegus. Onegus also shows us that intuition serves us well, but only if we pay attention to it. Consider where you are going, what are your long-term goals, and what are you doing that is helping you to move towards them. Progressing along a path. It's a balance, and here's what we said too, a need for balance between the intuitive and the rational as one approaches the unknown. It's like basically you just have to keep on going. You have to keep going with this trust. It's a card that wanted to come off the top of the deck as I went to put the book away, which is probably the last question that we need. They just kind of threw the card off the top. How can I stay focused on my chosen path? And it's Epona's Wild Daughter, card number 54. There have been a lot of 9s. 5 and 4 is 9. We had 9 of Cups and a 9 of Swords. And we had a progression with the 8, 9, 10. So how can you stay focused? Epona's Wild Daughter. Card number 54. This also came up in the upright. Inner shadows. Oh, we have to deal with it. Nightmare, depression, madness, and growth. In the bleakest part of the night, Dorcha comes wearing her crown of fairy stars. She kneels on the ancient owl, bearer of hidden wisdom of the night, and facing into the path with a clear, unflinching gaze, she holds us. Dorcha is the wild daughter of Epona, lady of the horse and the moon, and she takes us through the dark, hidden side of ourselves and into healing and fulfillment. From the temporary madness of rage, premenstrual tension, or great stress, to the deeper and longer psychoses, she drives us on the journey through our internal hells. When we complete the journey, we are transfigured and transformed, transcending our old selves. We can never be frightened by that darkness again, whether our own or that of others. Epona's wild daughter, Dorcha, is the Sphinx whose riddles must be answered lest we otherwise be destroyed by our own internal conflicts. Dorcha reminds us that we cannot go forward until we have faced something buried within us that is holding us back. Her presence in a reading tells us that finding and working through this is a task of some urgency. We can expect help in this from other people, from fairies, and from our dreams, but we must be open to these difficult questions and answers and be ready to face things about ourselves that are not as we would wish them to be. She urges us to heal the unresolved issues about who we really are and what we truly want to be. This is part of the required course in Self-Transformation 101 that we are enrolled here on planet Earth. Okay, and I do have one more question I want to ask. If we don't, because I still feel like we haven't tied together how this process, when I talk about prosperity, I am talking about anything in terms of becoming prosperous, making more money, because Master Co keeps saying that these other things that seem totally unrelated also hurt our bank account. All these things we've been talking about, how do they affect our prosperity? How do they affect our bank account, so to speak? What deck do I need to... Okay, how does this affect us if we don't heal these things that we've been talking about here? If we don't, the trust issues and the settling and the insomnia up at night, worried about all these things that we can't control, how is this hurting our bank account? And we got, this is gonna be the last card. We got the Queen of Wands in reverse. How is this hurting our bank account? Queen of Wands, because there's a cauldron right there, but like Queen of Wands, isn't she like, I'm gonna make this happen. All right, I'm going back to the book. How is this hurting our bank account? I mean, that's a big word. This is a prosperity healing reading. How is this hurting us? Don't even think of crossing this witch. She's powerful and she knows it. You want some of her brew? Go ahead and ask. Don't cower, she'll laugh in your face. Don't lie to her, she'll know. Traditional Queen of Wands usually has a black cat companion to represent her intuition. When this card comes up, it represents someone who has experience that could help you. More than likely, they have authority and the inclination to help. They're very intuitive, so don't try to fool them. They'll know and they won't like it, nor will you be happy with their reactions. The Queen of Wands is a person of action, good leader, and quick decision maker with charisma to spare. They have no patience with those who cannot make up their mind, but if you express a desire to get something done, they can help you make it happen. Helpful hint, they love to be the center of attention, but when it's in the reverse, it's impatience, controlling, drama, misusing power, and bossy. How is that hurting our prosperity? It could be impatient. So I think it's kind of like a trickle down effect. How is this hurting our bank account and our prosperity? All these things that we've been told we need to heal is because they make us, right? They make us feel gruff and impatient and like we want to control outcomes. And that creates drama. That starts to create then negative thought forms because we're like, oh, and then it starts to affect our manifesting power because we have all these negative thought forms. Because in order to manifest something, you have to believe that you already have it. I don't have to go through all those things because you already know all the things. You're supposed to think positive. You're supposed to have, all the positive affirmations and all the, stuff that you do when you manifest, seeing it is already coming about. But if you've grown impatient with source, that's a big one for me sometimes. If you feel like you can somehow better control the situation than God can, which you can just laugh at that, right? Like, who's going to be able to do that? Misusing power. It could even be like, oh, I'm going to create spells and I'm going to make, this thing happen and I'm going to make it happen. And it's like, well, we have to be, I'm getting big chills there. I'm going to make it happen. And the thing is, there's chilling me again. The thing is, you're not really in control of anything, right? You're not really making anything happen, so to speak. I mean, you are in a sense, you have to take action to make things happen. But the ideas and the intuition and your spiritual gifts and powers and the person that you want to come to you and all these things that are outside of your control are really blessings and gifts from God. They all are. They're blessings and gifts that you receive or that you deserve because you've earned it by the positive karma that you've created either in past lifetimes or in this lifetime. And if you start becoming impatient and you start having all these negative thought forms, then those are blocks. They also could potentially create negative karma because you could lash out at people, you could become terse, angry, impatient, even with yourself, even with your guides. Even an angry thought form that you don't say to somebody is a thought form in your auric field. You have to really watch your thoughts and the things that are coming out of your mouth. Even when you're just talking to yourself, sometimes I catch myself like, what did I just say? Where'd that come from? And I quickly just say, I use my hand, I see your hand as like filled with a violet fire glove. And when something weird comes out of you, like, why did I just say that? That I don't want in my energy field, then you can use your hand to see it as a gray cloud of smoke and use your violet fire glove and just say disintegrate, 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 and break up that negative thought form with your violet fire gloves, and just keep moving on. So because I guess the trickle down effect is then you could be creating negative karma. You could be unintentionally blocking yourself without realizing it. And then that keeps any prosperity from coming to you. And the one that everybody really cares about the most, right, is having, one of the ones, I don't know if it's the only one, but one of the ones, the big ones, is I've got to have money to live on this planet, is your bankroll. So, it's all part of the equation. Okay, let me just stop. Is there anything else, Spirit, that you want to say in this reading? Okay, they are complete. Let me see about the healing. Have you done all the healing that you need to do this now? Okay, they said they're done. So they've done all the healing they need to do, and this may be a teaching that you have to go back and listen to several times to get the full benefit of all the teachings that were shared here. So go back to this whenever you need to, or even as a reminder for yourself, set some of these ones in the prosperity healing series as the playlist, like a link to it, so that you can go back and listen to these whenever you forget, because you will forget. We need constant reminder of these things. So that is why I'm dedicated. I'm trying to, at least once a month, bring these types of teachings in so that we don't forget them. So that is all we have to share with you today. I want to thank you all so much for joining me here, and we will see you again next time. Take care.